It's not very surprising, because it's the river that does most of the work. It cuts through the mountains rich in jade on its path, washes the stones and deposits them on the riverbed. The oxidized skin is particularly thin on River Jade. Over tens of thousands of years, the river purified the rock by removing altered or damaged areas and rounding the rock. The methods used are almost as ancient as the mines themselves. But jade is not found in large quantities here. Sometimes it takes days to find just one boulder of value. The stretch of the river where jadeite is found is only 15 to 20 miles long. Smoking and dynamite don't go together in most parts of the world, but for these miners, lighting explosives with cigarettes is quite normal. Blowing up mountains means taking the risk of destroying valuable boulders, but it's the only way to reach jadeite buried deep underneath. These are the mines of Tar Moor, a primary deposit where jadeite is mined in situ, which means that the jade is mined exactly where it was formed about 20 million years ago. The deposits here are found in dikes or veins. It's said anyone who finds a jadeite dike is an instant millionaire. The only problem, of course, is to get the jade out of these deep mines. The mine is more than 100 years old and was first mentioned in 1893 in geological publications. While local Kachin and private groups were operating the mine for decades, it is now under the tight control of the government. The profits were just too big. In this place, it is said some huge boulders were found. The traditional method is to heat the rock with small fires and then splash it with cold water. Nowadays, jackhammers and even dynamite are used too.
Jadeite is a metamorphic rock, which means it's a remelt of a rock that already exists. This has to be done deep enough in the earth so that the heat is sufficient to remelt rock. To form the desirable color, it also has to melt in the presence of chromium. Chromium provides the green color. So this particular deposit where we are in Upper Burma, there was chromium in the ground when the rocks were remelted. And some of the chromium went into the rock, and that's what made this beautiful color.
Working methods in these mines are described as primitive in early publications. In over a century, little has changed at Tar Moor.
They're primitive by world standards. This is using hand labor for most of the work. In this particular operation, they're digging shafts down 30 to 50 feet and then starting to look for jade there. This would be far better mined if it were an open cast mine, a big hole, a big circle, and just take off all the overburden in one swoop using bulldozers, put it aside, and then expose the jade and start mining just the jade. Digging one hole at a time like this is very inefficient, but it's the way everybody starts.
Traveling between mines is possible only in the dry season. When the rains come, the fine sand turns into one large mud hole. But in summer, though the countryside is pleasant, the journey is not, because of the dust. Entire valleys are cloaked with the stuff. This area is still off limits for any traveller who is not native or in the jade business. We were the first to film here in 30 years. Tens of thousands of workers, like human ants, carry debris to the top. Monumental images reminiscent of the building of the pyramids. The difference is that these people are not creating anything, but are in fact dismantling entire mountains, stone by stone, pebble by pebble. They all share a common goal: jade. These are the mines of the Pakanji, the biggest jadeite mining operation in the world. Most of the workers in this government mine are Kachin, but the work attracts people from all parts of the country. They all come with the hope of quick money. The mines are run and supervised by so-called Laopans, contractors, who have bought concessions from the government for huge fees. In return, they get to exploit the mines and have a chance to make incredible profits by supplying jade traders in Hong Kong. For the workers, the employment offered by the mines is welcome, even if the working conditions and wages are below standard. After a hard day's work, each miner only makes about $1. One-third of his money is spent on water and food alone. No machinery could compete with such cheap labor, even if it was possible to bring more heavy equipment into the mining areas. There's no concept of insurance or protection around these parts. If there was a serious accident, the workers would be left to fend for themselves. While for the Laopan, this boulder here could be worth a fortune, for the workers, it could as well be their tombstone. Equipped with jackhammers and shovels, these men are the most important workers, as they are the only ones in the mine responsible for sorting out the good stones from the bad. They are the key people in the mines, and yet they often get it wrong. It is almost impossible to separate a regular rock from jade just by looking at it. The jade here was formed at a different place and moved with the mountains. During this process, the boulders became round and are now covered with a dark brown skin. They look just like any other rock. It's difficult throwing away any stones from this mine, but the decision must be made right here. The miners have to rush through the 3 months of the dry season, the only time weather permits mining of jade. Later, when the monsoon begins, this place will be muddy and largely underwater. There simply is not enough time to check every stone thoroughly. As they say, haste makes waste, and these discarded stones are in fact a mine of opportunity for those who have the time. Here on the gate of Pakan is what might be considered the most valuable garbage dump in the world. An endless caravan of trucks delivers tons of precious tailings from the mines. There's a crowd waiting for every truck. Everyone has paid an entry fee, but this does not prevent the danger of conflicts.